The alien ship hung in space like a crystal flower, its surfaces reflecting the light of distant stars. Commander Zixtela stood before the main viewing screen, her body made of living crystal that changed colors with her emotions. Right now, those colors showed deep purple, which meant worry among her kind. "Are you certain about these readings?" she asked her science officer, a tall being with tentacles instead of arms. "Yes, Commander. The third planet in this system shows massive atmospheric disturbances. The oxygen levels alone would burn the lungs of most species in the galaxy. The weather patterns are violent beyond anything we have seen on civilized worlds." Zixtela studied the data streaming across her screens. Planet Earth, as the locals called it, was a nightmare world by galactic standards. The surface temperature changed wildly from season to season. Massive storms moved across the oceans, carrying winds that could destroy buildings. The ground itself moved and shook, splitting open and spewing liquid rock into the air. "How did any life survive on such a world?" she whispered. "That is what puzzles us most, Commander. Not only did life survive, but it created a civilization advanced enough to build space vessels. They call themselves humans." The commander's crystal body flashed bright red, showing her shock. In all her years exploring the galaxy, she had never encountered a species that lived on what the Galactic Survey classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. Most planets rated Class 12 were used only for mining operations, and even then workers needed full environmental suits to survive for more than a few minutes. "Send them a message," she ordered. "Tell them we come in peace and wish to meet their leaders, but make it clear that we cannot land on their world. The conditions are too dangerous for our biological forms." Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, humanity's newest deep space vessel. The ship floated in orbit around Earth, its crew watching the alien vessel with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. After decades of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, first contact was finally happening. "Sir, we're receiving another transmission from the alien ship," reported Lieutenant Collins, the communications officer. "Put it through," Morrison ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was strange, with odd musical tones, but the translation software worked perfectly. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We are representatives of the Galactic Survey, part of the Greater Galactic Confederation. We wish to meet with your leaders to discuss peaceful contact between our peoples." Morrison smiled. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for. "Dr. Parker, Colonel Davis, you're with me. We're going to make history." Dr. Lisa Parker gathered her research materials while Colonel Ryan Davis checked his dress uniform. One final time. Parker was Earth's leading expert on theoretical alien biology, though she had never expected to use her knowledge in a real first-contact situation. Davis was chosen to represent Earth's military, though his orders were clear. This was a peaceful mission. "The aliens insist on meeting in space," Morrison explained as they walked toward the shuttle bay. "They claim Earth's surface is too dangerous for their species. I'm not sure what they mean by that, but we'll find out soon enough." The shuttle ride to the alien vessel took 30 minutes. As they approached, Parker stared in wonder at the ship's design. It looked nothing like human vessels, with flowing curves and surfaces that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "It's beautiful," she breathed. "It's big," Davis added, always practical. "Bigger than anything we've built." The alien ship welcomed them into a docking bay that seemed to grow around their shuttle like a living thing. As they stepped out, they were greeted by 3 alien beings unlike anything they had ever imagined. Commander Zixtela stood 7 feet tall, her crystal body catching and reflecting the soft light of the docking bay. Beside her was Dr. Veltar, whose tentacles moved constantly as he took readings with various instruments. The third alien, their security officer, looked like a walking tree with eyes that glowed softly in the dim light. "Welcome, Zixtela," said, her voice carrying clearly through the translation devices. "We are honored to meet the first representatives of your species." "The honor is ours," Morrison replied, stepping forward. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Space Command. This is Dr. Lisa Parker, our xenobiologist, and Colonel Ryan Davis, our military liaison." The aliens led them through corridors that seemed to pulse with life. The walls were soft and warm to the touch, and Parker realized the entire ship was grown rather than built. They entered a large chamber, filled with comfortable seating and viewing screens showing the swirling blue and white beauty of Earth. "Your world is quite remarkable," Zixthala began, though her tone suggested she found it remarkable in a disturbing way. "We have been studying your planet for several days, and we must confess, we are puzzled by your very existence." "Puzzled?" Parker asked, leaning forward with interest. Dr. Veltar's tentacles moved in what might have been nervousness. "In all our travels across the galaxy, we have never encountered a species that evolved on such a hostile world. Your planet rates as a Class 12 Deathworld in our classification system." "Deathworld?" Davis repeated, his military training making him alert to any potential threat. "Yes," Zixthala continued. "The atmospheric composition of your world would kill most galactic species within minutes. The oxygen levels are so high they would burn our respiratory systems. The atmospheric pressure alone would crush many of our member species." Morrison exchanged glances with his companions. "I'm not sure I understand. Our atmosphere seems perfectly normal to us." "Normal?" The tree-like alien spoke for the first time, his voice deep and rumbling. "Your atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. Most civilized worlds maintain no more than 12%. Anything higher becomes toxic to most life forms." Parker's scientific mind raced. "What about your worlds? What are they like?" "Stable," Zixthala replied immediately. "My homeworld has weather patterns that rarely change. The temperature varies by no more than a few degrees throughout the year. We have no violent storms, no earthquakes, no volcanic activity. Most galactic species live on worlds that were terraformed millions of years ago to eliminate dangerous conditions." "But how do you grow stronger without challenges?" Davis asked, his military background making him value adversity as a training tool. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. "Stronger? We do not understand. Why would any species want to become stronger?" "Civilization exists to eliminate challenges and create safe, comfortable conditions for all life. But Earth has always been challenging," Morrison explained. "We have storms that can destroy entire cities. We have earthquakes that can split the ground open. We have volcanoes that can block out the sun. We have deserts where nothing can live and frozen wastelands that kill with cold." "And you choose to live there?" Veltar asked, his tentacles writhing with what the humans were beginning to recognize as distress. "We don't have a choice," Parker laughed. "Earth is our home. We evolved there. We adapted to survive in those conditions." "Adapted," Zixthala repeated the word slowly. "Yes, we can see that you have adapted. But the level of adaptation required to survive on your world is beyond anything we have encountered. Your species should not exist, but we do exist," Morrison pointed out with a smile. "Yes, and that is what makes you so remarkable," the commander replied, "and so terrifying." The humans looked at each other in surprise. They had expected many reactions to first contact, but being called terrifying was not one of them. "We terrify you?" Davis asked. "Not intentionally," Zixthala assured them quickly. "But you are living proof that intelligence can evolve under the most extreme conditions. This changes everything we thought we knew about life in the galaxy." The meeting continued for hours, with the aliens asking endless questions about Earth and human life. With each answer, the humans could see the aliens becoming more amazed and more disturbed by the reality of human existence. As the shuttle returned to the USS Liberty, the three humans sat in thoughtful silence. "They're afraid of us," Davis said. "Finally, not afraid," Parker corrected. "Amazed. We're something they never expected to encounter." "Either way," Morrison added, "I think this is going to be an interesting relationship." Behind them, Earth continued its eternal dance of storm and earthquake, volcano and flood, completely unaware that its children had just become the most famous species in the galaxy for the simple act of calling such a dangerous world home. Dr. Veltar had not slept in 3 days. His tentacles moved constantly over his data screens, recording every word the humans spoke. As the chief xenobiologist for the Galactic Survey, he had studied thousands of species across the galaxy. None of them had prepared him for humanity. "Tell me again about these weather systems," he asked Dr. Parker, who sat across from him in the alien ship's research chamber. The walls pulsed with a soft blue light, and the air smelled of flowers that did not exist on Earth. Parker smiled and pulled up a holographic display of Earth. "Well, we have what we call hurricanes. They're massive rotating storm systems that can stretch for hundreds of miles across." Veltar's tentacles went rigid. "Hundreds of miles? How fast do the winds move?" "Oh, they can reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour in the strongest storms. Sometimes even faster." The alien scientist made a sound like glass breaking. "And humans live through these storms?" "Sure, we've learned to predict them pretty well. We evacuate the areas where they're going to hit, or we ride them out in strong buildings. My family lived through Hurricane Katrina when I was a kid." "You were a child during one of these superstorms?" Veltar asked, his voice climbing higher. "I was 12, Parker replied casually. "It was scary, but we made it through." "Lots of people did. We helped each other rebuild afterward." Veltar turned to his assistant, a small furry being with large eyes. "Note this down. Humans expose their young to atmospheric disturbances that would destroy most starships. The young ones survive and consider it a normal childhood experience." Meanwhile, in another part of the ship, Commander Zixthala was having her own shocking conversation with Colonel Davis. The military officer sat relaxed in his chair, completely at ease despite being surrounded by alien technology. "You mentioned earthquakes," Zixthala said, her crystal body flickering orange with stress. "Explain this phenomenon." Davis nodded. "The ground shakes. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. Really big earthquakes can knock down buildings and split the ground open. We've learned to build our structures to handle them. The ground splits open." The tree-like security officer leaned forward, his glowing eyes widening. "And you continue to live in these areas?" "Well, yeah. California gets earthquakes all the time. Millions of people live there. San Francisco was destroyed by an earthquake and fire in 1906, and they just rebuilt it. They rebuilt a city on ground that had already proven it could destroy them?" Zixthala asked in disbelief. "Sure, it's a nice place to live. Good weather, beautiful views of the ocean." The aliens exchanged looks of pure horror. In their experience, when a natural disaster destroyed a settlement, the survivors moved to a safer planet. The idea of rebuilding in the same dangerous location was completely foreign to them. "What about volcanoes?" the security officer asked. "Oh, those are interesting," Davis said with enthusiasm. "Mountains that spew liquid rock and ash. They can cover entire regions in ash and block out the sun for months. The explosion of Mount Tambora in 1815 caused what we called the year without a summer." "A year without summer?" Zixthala's crystal body had turned completely purple now. "How did your species survive?" "People adapted. They grew different crops, moved to areas less affected by the ash, helped each other through the hard times. It was tough, but humans are pretty good at surviving tough times." Dr. Veltar joined the conversation, his tentacles waving excitedly. "I have been researching human biology and your planet's life forms. I must ask about the creatures that share your world." "Animals?" Parker asked. "What would you like to know?" "Your database mentions creatures called sharks. Large aquatic predators with multiple rows of teeth designed for tearing flesh." "Oh yeah, sharks are amazing," Parker said with genuine enthusiasm. "They're incredibly efficient predators. Some species can grow over 20 feet long. Great whites are particularly impressive, and humans voluntarily enter the water where these creatures live." Veltar asked. "Of course, we swim in the ocean all the time. Shark attacks are actually very rare. You're more likely to be struck by lightning than attacked by a shark." "Lightning?" The tree-like alien's voice cracked. "You mean electrical discharges? From the sky? During thunderstorms? Yes. Bolts of electricity that can kill you instantly if they hit you directly?" The aliens stared at the humans in shocked silence. Finally, Zixthala spoke. You have electrical death falling from the sky. And you consider shark attacks more dangerous? Well, both are pretty unlikely, Davis said with a shrug. We just take reasonable precautions and get on with our lives. But there are more dangerous creatures, Veltar said, consulting his data. Venomous snakes, poisonous spiders, insects that carry deadly diseases. Sure, Parker agreed. We've got rattlesnakes, black widows, disease-carrying mosquitoes. But we've learned to deal with them. We have antivenom for snake bites, insect repellent, vaccines for diseases. You created medical treatments for the poisons instead of eliminating the creatures? Zixthala asked. Eliminating them would upset the ecological balance, Parker explained. Every creature has a role in the ecosystem. Even the dangerous ones. The aliens looked at each other in amazement. Most galactic species had eliminated dangerous predators from their worlds millions of years ago. The idea of deliberately preserving creatures that could kill you was completely alien to them. What about your weather in general? Veltar asked. Our readings show temperature variations that should be lethal to most life forms. Oh, you mean seasons, Morrison said, joining the conversation. Yeah, it gets pretty hot in summer and cold in winter in most places. Some areas are always hot, some are always cold. Always cold, the furry assistant spoke up. How cold? Well, Antarctica can get down to minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold enough to freeze your breath in. The air. And humans live there? Zixthala asked. Research scientists do? They have special buildings and equipment to survive the cold. Some people actually choose to visit Antarctica as tourists. Tourists, Veltar repeated slowly. Humans travel to the most dangerous parts of your world for recreation? Sure, we climb mountains, explore caves, go scuba diving, skydiving. Lots of people enjoy challenging activities. Skydiving? The tree-like alien looked confused. Jumping out of aircraft with parachutes. It's fun, Davis explained. The aliens fell silent again. On their worlds, the concept of deliberately putting yourself in danger for enjoyment was completely unknown. Safety and comfort were the highest priorities of civilized society. I must ask about your food, Veltar said eventually. Our analysis shows that humans consume substances that would be toxic to most galactic species. Like what? Parker asked. Ethanol. Your species regularly consumes a substance that is used as a fuel and cleaning agent on most worlds. Oh, alcohol. Morrison laughed. Yeah, we drink beer, wine, spirits. It's been part of human culture for thousands of years. And capsaicin, Veltar continued. A chemical compound so irritating that most species use it as a weapon. Hot peppers, Parker said with a grin. I love spicy food. The hotter the better. You enjoy pain? Zixthala asked in horror. It's not really pain, it's more like excitement. The burn from hot peppers releases endorphins that make you feel good. Your species has evolved to enjoy substances that cause tissue damage, Veltar sighed, making notes. This is unprecedented. What about caffeine? The furry assistant asked. That's listed as a neural stimulant. Coffee, tea, energy drinks? Davis said. Most humans consume caffeine daily. It helps us stay alert. A neural stimulant. Daily consumption, Veltar muttered. On most worlds, that would be considered drug abuse. The hours passed as the aliens asked question after question. They learned about human medicine, which involved deliberately introducing weakened diseases into the body to build immunity. They discovered that humans regularly expose themselves to radiation from their sun to change their skin color. They found out that humans had survived multiple mass extinction events that had wiped out most other life on Earth. Your species has survived 5 major extinction events? Zixthala asked in amazement. Well, our ancestors did, Morrison explained. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, ice ages. Life on Earth has always been tough, but it always finds a way to survive. Ice ages, the tree-like alien repeated. Periods when your entire planet becomes too cold to support life. Not the entire planet, just most of it. Some areas stayed warm enough for life to continue. And your ancestors survived in these small, warm areas? That's right. When conditions got tough, they adapted. They learned to use fire, make tools, work together. That's how humans became what we are today. The aliens realized they were looking at something completely unique in the galaxy. Most species had evolved on stable worlds where survival was easy. Their civilizations had developed technology to make life even easier and safer. But humans had evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill them, and instead of making them weak, it had made them incredibly strong and adaptable. This changes everything, Zixthala said quietly. Everything we thought we knew about evolution, about civilization, about life itself. How so? Parker asked. We believed that intelligence could only develop in safe, stable environments. We thought harsh conditions prevented the development of complex life. The demonstration room aboard the alien ship had been hastily modified to accommodate human physiology. Dr. Veltar watched nervously as Colonel Davis stretched his arms and legs, preparing for what the humans called a simple fitness test. The alien scientist's tentacles twitched with anxiety as he monitored the life support systems. Are you certain this is safe? Veltar asked Dr. Parker, who stood beside him with a smile on her face. Completely safe, Parker replied. Ryan does this routine every morning. It's basic military fitness training. Commander Zixthala joined them, her crystal body flickering with curiosity. We have reviewed your military records, Colonel Davis, according to our calculations. The physical requirements for your soldiers exceed the capabilities of most galactic species. Davis laughed as he began doing push-ups. This is nothing special. Any human in decent shape can do this. He moved up and down with smooth, controlled motions, his muscles working with practiced ease. The aliens watched in fascination as Davis performed 50 push-ups without showing any signs of strain. On most worlds, physical labor had been eliminated. By technology thousands of years ago, the idea of deliberately building muscle strength was completely foreign to them. 50 repetitions, Veltar whispered, recording everything. No signs of fatigue, heart rate elevated but stable. This is remarkable. Wait until you see what comes next, Parker said with a grin. Davis moved to pull-ups, grabbing a bar that the aliens had installed for the demonstration. He pulled his entire body weight up and down with apparent ease, his breathing steady and controlled. Impossible, breathed the tree-like security officer. He is lifting his own body weight repeatedly. Our strongest species can barely lift half their body weight once. How much do you weigh, Colonel? Zixthala asked. About 180 pounds, Davis replied between pull-ups. That's pretty average for a human male. 180 pounds, Veltar repeated in amazement. You are repeatedly lifting 180 pounds using only your arm muscles. Arms and back, Davis corrected. It's all about proper form and training. The aliens exchanged glances of disbelief. They had expected humans to be stronger than most galactic species, given their harsh environment, but this level of physical capability was beyond anything they had imagined. Tell me about human endurance, Zixthala requested. Well, Parker said, humans are actually designed for long-distance running. We can run for hours without stopping. Some people run marathons, which are over 26 miles. 26 miles without stopping? The furry assistant's large eyes grew even wider. That would kill most of us. Actually, some humans run ultramarathons, Davis added, finishing his pull-ups. Those can be 50 miles or more. Some races last for days. Days? Veltar asked. Tentacles went rigid. Humans run for days? Sure, there are races across deserts, through mountains, across frozen landscapes. People do it for fun. The aliens fell silent, trying to process this information. On their worlds, transportation was handled by technology. The idea of using biological locomotion for such distances was inconceivable. What about environmental adaptation? Zixthala asked. We have read that humans can survive in various climates. Oh, that's one of our best abilities, Parker said proudly. Humans live everywhere on Earth, from the Arctic to the equator, from sea level to high mountains. We adapt to whatever environment we find ourselves in. Show us. Veltar requested. Parker activated a holographic display showing various human settlements around Earth. Here's a research station in Antarctica where temperatures drop to -80 degrees. The people there work outside in environmental suits, but they can survive for limited periods even without them. The aliens stared at images of humans working in conditions that would instantly kill most galactic species. And here's a settlement in the Sahara Desert, Parker continued. Temperatures over 120 degrees, almost no water, sandstorms that can strip flesh from bone. People have lived there for thousands of years. How? Zixtela asked in wonder. We sweat to cool ourselves in hot weather. We shiver and burn fat to stay warm in cold weather. We can slow our metabolism to conserve energy when food is scarce. We can process different types of food to extract nutrients. You can alter your metabolism? Veltar asked, his tentacles moving rapidly as he took notes. Within limits, Davis said. Mountain climbers do it when they go to high altitudes where there's less oxygen. Their bodies produce more red blood cells to carry oxygen more efficiently. Your bodies automatically adapt to low oxygen environments? The tree-like alien leaned forward in disbelief. Sure, it takes a few weeks, but yes, we call it acclimatization. People who live in mountain areas have larger lung capacity and more efficient cardiovascular systems. This is incredible, Zixtela said. Most species require technological assistance to survive in environments different from their homeworlds. You adapt biologically? That's not even the best part, Parker said with excitement. Let me show you some of our recreational activities. She activated another display showing humans engaged in various extreme sports. The aliens watched in horror as people jumped out of aircraft, climbed vertical rock faces, and surfed massive ocean waves. These activities appear to be deliberately dangerous, Veltar observed. They are, Davis said cheerfully. That's what makes them fun. The danger adds excitement. You seek danger for entertainment? Zixtela's crystal body had turned bright, red with shock. Some people do. Rock climbing, skydiving, whitewater rafting, extreme skiing. People push themselves to see how far they can go. The display showed a human free climbing a mountain face with no safety equipment, hundreds of feet above the ground. The aliens watched in fascinated horror as the climber moved carefully from handhold to handhold. If that person falls, they will die, the security officer pointed out. That's what makes it challenging, Parker explained. The risk forces you to be perfect. Every movement has to be precise. It's the ultimate test of skill and mental control. Mental control? Veltar asked. Fear, Davis said simply. Learning to function when you're afraid. Every human learns to deal with fear from childhood. We have to, living on Earth. Can you demonstrate this fear response? Zixtela asked Parker. And Davis looked at each other and laughed. We're demonstrating it right now, Parker said. We're in an alien spaceship, surrounded by unknown technology, talking to beings we've never seen before. Most humans would be terrified, but you appear calm, Veltar observed. We are calm, Davis replied. We've learned to control our fear. Response: we assess the threat, determine the best course of action, and proceed. Fear is just information, not a reason to stop. The aliens realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Fear paralyzed most galactic species. When faced with unknown or dangerous situations, the typical response was to retreat and call for technological assistance. But humans had learned to function despite fear, to use it as a tool rather than let it control them. What about your medical capabilities? Zixtela asked. We have heard that humans can recover from injuries that would be fatal to most species. Our bodies are pretty good at healing, Parker said. We can regrow skin, repair broken bones, even recover from major organ damage in some cases. Show us your medical records, Veltar requested. Davis pulled up his military medical file. Here's when I broke my leg in 3 places during a training exercise. It took 8 weeks to heal completely. The aliens stared at X-ray images showing a severely fractured bone that had completely healed. The bone regrew itself? Zixtela asked in amazement. With some help from medical technology, yes. But the healing was all biological. My body did the work. What about diseases? The furry assistant asked. How do humans deal with microscopic threats? Our immune system, Parker explained. We have specialized cells that identify and destroy foreign organisms. We can build immunity to diseases by exposure to weakened versions of them. You deliberately infect yourselves with diseases? Veltar asked, his tentacles curling with distress. Vaccines, yes. It's been one of our greatest medical advances. We've eliminated many diseases that used to kill millions of people. You turned a biological weakness into a strength, Zixtela said with wonder. Instead of avoiding disease, you learned to use it to make yourselves stronger. That's the human way, Davis said with pride. We don't avoid challenges, we adapt to overcome them. The aliens spent the next several hours reviewing human medical records, athletic achievements, and survival stories. They learned about people who had survived plane crashes in remote wilderness areas, sailors who had lived for months on life rafts in the open ocean, and explorers who had crossed entire continents on foot. Each story amazed them more than the last. Humans routinely survived situations that would have killed any other known species, and they did it using nothing but their biological capabilities and mental determination. I must ask about your space program, Zixtela said eventually. How did you develop space travel on such a dangerous world? We looked up at the stars and decided we wanted to go there, Morrison said simply. So we figured out how to do it. Despite the danger? Because of the danger, Davis corrected. Living on Earth taught us that any challenge can be overcome. With enough determination and ingenuity. Space was just another challenge. Commander Zixtela stood before the massive holographic display that filled the central chamber of her ship. The Galactic Confederation's planetary database stretched out before her like a three-dimensional map of known space. Each planet was color-coded based on its classification. From the peaceful green worlds where most civilizations lived to the dangerous red zones that were avoided by all intelligent life, Earth glowed a deep, angry red at the center of the display. Computer, display the full classification data for planet Earth. Designation Sol 3, she commanded. The hologram zoomed in on Earth's entry, filling the air with scrolling text and data charts. Dr. Veltar joined her, his tentacles moving nervously as he read the information. Class 12 Deathworld, he read aloud. Atmospheric composition, 21% oxygen, toxic to 94% of known galactic species. Surface pressure, 14.7 pounds per square inch, lethal to 73% of member species. Tectonic activity, extreme. Weather systems, catastrophic. Native life forms, hostile. Predatory ecosystem. Zixtela's crystal body flickered with concern as she scrolled through more data. Look at this comparison chart. Earth ranks in the top 1% of most dangerous worlds in the galaxy. What other worlds share this classification? Veltar asked. Kepler 452c, a planet covered in acid storms where we mine rare crystals using automated drones. Gliese 667cc, where the surface temperature changes by 200 degrees every few hours. Wolf 359b, where the gravity is so strong it would crush most life forms instantly. And those worlds are uninhabited, Veltar pointed out. Exactly. They are used only for resource extraction by heavily protected robotic systems. No intelligent species has ever been found living on a Class 12 world. Zixtela paused, her colors shifting to deep purple. Until now. The tree-like security officer approached them, his glowing eyes focused on the display. I have been reviewing the historical records. In the 50,000 years of galactic exploration, we have encountered over 10,000 intelligent species. Not one of them evolved on a world rated higher than Class 6. What is the typical classification for inhabited worlds? Zixtela asked. Class 2 or 3, stable weather, moderate temperatures, low tectonic activity, domesticated or eliminated dangerous. Species. Most civilizations terraformed their worlds within a few thousand years of achieving spaceflight. Veltar brought up another display showing typical galactic homeworlds. Beautiful garden planets with crystal cities, calm blue skies, and peaceful landscapes. No storms, no earthquakes, no dangerous animals. Everything designed for maximum safety and comfort. This is what normal looks like in the galaxy, he said. Compare this to what we have learned about Earth. The display switched to images of Earth that the humans had shared with them. Massive hurricanes swirling over oceans, volcanoes spewing lava into the sky, vast deserts where nothing could survive, frozen wastelands that stretched to the horizon. It looks like a weapons testing ground, the security officer observed. In a way it is, Zixtala said thoughtfully. Nature has been testing humanity for millions of years, and they have passed every test. Dr. Veltar accessed another section of the database. I have been researching human evolutionary history. Computer, display the timeline of major extinction. Events on Earth. A new hologram appeared, showing Earth's history as a timeline. Red markers indicated catastrophic events that had wiped out most life on the planet. 5 major extinction events, Veltar read. The Ordovician extinction, 450 million years ago. The late Devonian extinction, 375 million years ago. The Permian extinction, 250 million years ago, which killed 96% of all marine life. The Triassic extinction, 200 million years ago. And the Cretaceous extinction, 66 million years ago, which eliminated the dinosaurs. Humanity's ancestors survived all of these? Zixtala asked in amazement. Not humanity directly, but the evolutionary line that led to humans. Each extinction event eliminated most life on Earth, but some creatures survived and evolved to fill the empty niches left behind. The security officer studied the data with professional interest. This means humans evolved from survivors. Multiple generations of survivors, each tested by planetary catastrophe. Exactly, Veltar agreed. Most galactic species evolved in stable environments where survival was easy, but humanity evolved in an environment that regularly attempted to kill everything on it. Natural selection operated at maximum intensity. Zixtala brought up another display showing human cultural data. Look at their entertainment, their literature, their films, their games. They voluntarily imagined scenarios even worse than their reality. The aliens watched clips from human science fiction movies. Alien invasions, nuclear wars, zombie apocalypses, global climate disasters. Stories that most galactic species would consider too terrifying to contemplate, humans created as entertainment. They practice surviving the end of the world, the security officer said in wonder. For fun, Veltar added, his tentacles writhing. They imagine catastrophic scenarios and develop plans to survive them as recreation. Computer, access human. Military history, Zixtala commanded. A new set of data appeared showing thousands of years of human warfare. The aliens studied records of battles fought in every environment imaginable. Frozen mountains, scorching deserts, dense jungles, open oceans. They fight wars in environments that would kill us before we could even draw weapons, the security officer observed. Look at this, Veltar said, highlighting a particular entry. The Battle of Stalingrad. Humans fought a major military engagement. In temperatures of minus 40 degrees while under constant attack with limited food and medical supplies. The battle lasted for months. Months of combat in lethal environmental conditions, Zixtala repeated. And they won. Both sides were human, the security officer pointed out. Both sides demonstrated the same impossible resilience. Dr. Veltar brought up medical records from human conflicts. Look at their survival rates. Injuries that would be instantly fatal to most species, humans recover from with proper medical treatment. Lost limbs, organ damage, severe burns, blood loss that should cause immediate death. How? Zixtala asked. Their biology is incredibly robust. Dense bone structure, redundant organ systems, efficient healing mechanisms, high pain tolerance. Everything about them is designed for survival under extreme stress. The aliens spent hours reviewing human technological development. They discovered that humanity had progressed from primitive tools to spaceflight in an incredibly short time by galactic standards. Most species take 100,000 years to develop from early civilization to space travel, the security officer noted. Humans did it in 10,000 years. Because they had to, Veltar explained. Life on Earth is so dangerous that technological advancement was a survival necessity. They innovated rapidly because innovation meant the difference between life and death. Zixtala accessed the database's psychological profiles section. What about their mental characteristics? Remarkable, Veltar said, displaying the data. High stress tolerance, ability to function under extreme pressure, rapid adaptation to new situations, strong problem-solving skills under duress. Most galactic species exhibit anxiety disorders when faced with even minor environmental changes. The security officer added, humans actively seek out challenging environments. Look at this, Zixtala said, highlighting a particular entry. Human. Space exploration. They volunteer to travel to unknown worlds with minimal safety equipment. They consider it an adventure. The aliens reviewed human exploration history, Arctic expeditions, deep ocean exploration, mountain climbing, cave systems, space missions. In every case, humans had pushed into dangerous unknown territories with inadequate technology and survived through determination and adaptability. They explore dangerous places for the same reason they climb mountains, Veltar observed. Because they are there. Computer, compare human psychological profiles to standard galactic norms. Zixtala requested. A comparison chart appeared showing dramatic differences in every category. Human risk tolerance was 500% higher than galactic average. Problem solving. Under stress was 300% higher. Adaptability to new environments was 400% higher. These numbers are impossible, the security officer said. No species should score this high in survival characteristics. Unless they evolved on a world that killed everything else, Veltar pointed out. Zixtala made a decision that would change galactic policy forever. Computer, create a new classification category. Designation, Apex Survival Species. Criteria. Species evolved on Class 10 or higher Deathworlds, demonstrating survival characteristics exceeding galactic norms by 300% or more. Classification created, the computer responded. Species Sol3 humans automatically qualify for Apex Survival Species designation. We are the first to discover an Apex Survival Species, Veltar said with awe. And possibly the last, the security officer added. The odds of intelligent life evolving on a Class 12 Deathworld must be astronomical. Yet it happened, Zixtala said, which means our understanding of evolution, of life itself, was incomplete. Dr. Veltar brought up one final display, human cultural expressions about their own world. Songs about their homeland, poetry about the beauty of storms, art celebrating the wild and dangerous aspects of nature. They love their Deathworld, he said in wonder. They see beauty in what would terrify us. 3 months after first contact, the Galactic Confederation Council chambers buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the vast circular hall, their forms ranging from crystalline beings to gaseous entities. Contained in specialized suits? At the center of the chamber, a holographic display showed a single blue-green planet that had become the most discussed world in galactic history. Council Prime Zivithala, an ancient being whose species had founded. The Confederation 50,000 years ago called for order. Her voice carried across the chamber through universal translators, reaching every species in their native language. We are here to discuss the implications of the discovery on Sol3, known locally as Earth, she announced. Commander Zixtala of the survey fleet will present her findings. Zixtala rose from her designated area, her crystal body reflecting the chamber's lights. She had spent weeks preparing for this moment, knowing that her words would change the course of galactic civilization. Honored representatives, she began, we have discovered something unprecedented. An intelligent species that evolved on a Class 12 Deathworld. Not only did they survive, but they thrived to the point of achieving space travel and developing a complex civilization. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Representative Takar, a tall insectoid being from the Centauri cluster, raised a questioning appendage. Surely this is impossible. Our science proves that intelligence cannot develop under such hostile conditions. Our science was wrong, Zixtala replied simply. I present to the Council the species known as humans. The holographic display activated, showing the USS Liberty approaching the Confederation's capital station. The massive structure, built over millions of years, housed the governing bodies of galactic civilization. It was a marvel of engineering, designed to accommodate every known form of life in perfect safety and comfort. Captain Morrison stepped into the council chamber wearing his dress uniform, flanked by Dr. Parker and Colonel Davis. The sight of them caused an immediate stir among the assembled representatives. Most had never seen images of humans, and their physical presence was both fascinating and intimidating. Honored Council, Morrison said, his voice carrying clearly through the translation system. I am Captain Jake Morrison, representing the people of Earth. We come in peace, seeking friendship and cooperation with the galactic community. Council. Prime Zavathala studied the humans with ancient eyes that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Captain Morrison, we have reviewed the reports of your world's conditions. How is it possible that your species survived in such an environment? With respect, Your Honor, we didn't just survive. We learned to thrive. Earth taught us that any challenge can be overcome with determination, cooperation, and innovation. Representative Melvash, a floating jellyfish-like being, pulsed with concern. But your world kills indiscriminately. How do you maintain stable populations with such mortality rates? Dr. Parker stepped forward. Actually, our challenging environment made us remarkably good at keeping each other alive. We developed advanced medicine, emergency response systems, and disaster preparation. Our infant mortality rate is lower than many worlds classified as safe. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. A species from a Deathworld had better survival rates than civilizations with advanced technology and perfect environments. Impossible, whispered Representative Quinder, a methane-breathing being whose world was considered a paradise of gentle breezes and constant mild temperatures. We can demonstrate, Colonel Davis offered. Would you like to see basic human physical capabilities? Council Prime Zavathala nodded, and a space was cleared in the center of the chamber. Davis began with simple exercises that he performed daily. Push-ups, sit-ups, and basic calisthenics that any human soldier considered routine. The assembled representatives watched in stunned silence as Davis completed movements that exceeded the physical capabilities of most of their species' elite athletes. When he finished 50 pull-ups without apparent strain, several delegates had to be treated for shock. These are normal human abilities? Representative Takar asked weakly. Basic fitness, Davis confirmed. Any human in decent shape can do. This, our athletes are much more impressive. Dr. Parker activated a portable display unit showing videos of human Olympic competitions. The aliens watched track and field events, swimming competitions, and gymnastics demonstrations with growing amazement. Your athletes move faster than our emergency response vehicles, Representative Melvash observed. Speed, strength, and endurance. Our survival traits on Earth, Parker explained. Our ancestors needed these abilities to escape predators, hunt for food, and survive natural disasters. What about mental capabilities? Council Prime Zavathala asked. Morrison smiled. We'd be happy to discuss that. Humans excel at problem-solving under pressure, adapting to new situations, and working together during emergencies. Show us, the Council Prime commanded. Dr. Parker presented case studies of human crisis management. The response to natural disasters, technological failures, and survival situations. She showed how humans had survived spacecraft emergencies, plane crashes in remote locations, and industrial accidents through quick thinking and cooperation. This is remarkable, Representative Zixar, a slug-like being from the Vega system, said, "When our worlds face crisis, we call for expert assistance and wait for technological solutions. Your species improvises solutions immediately. We have to," Morrison explained. "On Earth, waiting for help often means death. We learn to solve problems with whatever resources we have available." The Council spent hours reviewing human capabilities and achievements. They learned about mountain rescue operations conducted in sub-zero temperatures, ocean rescues performed in hurricane conditions, and space missions completed despite multiple system failures. "Your species treats impossible situations as routine challenges," Council Prime Zevithala observed. "Because they are routine for us," Davis replied. "Earth never gives us easy problems to solve." Representative Havenall, a crystalline being from the Polaris region, asked the question that had been troubling many delegates. "What does this mean for the galaxy? How do we classify a species that exceeds all our understanding of biological limits?" Council Prime Zivithala had been preparing for this moment. "The discovery of humanity forces us to revise our fundamental understanding of evolution, intelligence, and survival. We must create new classifications, new policies, and new approaches. To galactic cooperation, we propose establishing Earth as the galaxy's premier training facility for extreme environment operations," Commander Zixthala announced. "Humans would serve as instructors for other species attempting to explore dangerous worlds." The suggestion caused an uproar in the chamber. The idea of deliberately exposing galactic citizens to dangerous conditions was revolutionary. "It would be voluntary," Morrison clarified. "We understand that most species prefer safe environments. But for those who want to explore the galaxy's dangerous regions, we could provide training and guidance." "What would you teach?" Representative Quinder asked nervously. "Survival skills, emergency response, improvised problem-solving, and psychological resilience," Parker explained. "The same skills every human child learns growing up on Earth." Council Prime Zivithala made the decision that would reshape galactic civilization. The Council recognizes humanity as the galaxy's first apex survival species. We grant Earth full membership in the Confederation and designate it as a specialized training world for extreme environment operations. The vote was unanimous. No. Species opposed welcoming humanity into the galactic community, though many did so with a mixture of admiration and fear. 6 months later, the first galactic students arrived at Earth's new Survival Training Academy. The facility was built in the mountains of Colorado, where students could experience moderate versions of Earth's environmental challenges. Sergeant Pete Williams, a former park ranger who had survived 3 grizzly bear encounters, stood before his first class of alien cadets. The students included a cautious centaurian insect, a nervous vegan slug, and a crystalline being who had volunteered despite her species' fear of environmental change. "Welcome to Earth survival training," Pete said with a grin. "First lesson: identifying edible plants. This is important because Earth has thousands of plants that can kill you and hundreds that can keep you alive." The alien students took careful notes as Pete showed them the difference between poisonous berries and nutritious ones. What humans considered basic outdoor knowledge was advanced survival science to beings from perfect worlds. Instructor Williams. The Centaurian student asked politely, "Is it true that you once fought off a large predator with only a stick?" 3 times, actually, Pete replied casually. "Grizzly bears. Big, aggressive omnivores with claws and teeth. The trick is to make yourself look bigger and back away slowly. Never run from a bear." The students stared at him in awe. On their worlds, encountering a large predator would require immediate evacuation and military intervention. The idea of fighting one off with a stick was beyond their comprehension. "Don't worry," Pete continued with a reassuring smile. "We'll start with basic plant identification and work our way up to predator awareness. By the time you graduate,